Solvitur Ambulando, The Adventures of Steve and Dixie by Stephen Breakstone. Episode 9. Snippets from my journal. June 28th, 1986, Saturday. Route 1, Louisiana, beyond False River, which was once the main channel of the Mississippi River. With a rolling down of her window of the Cadillac, I was asked, "How would you like to come back to my house for breakfast?" The 50-plus-year-old looking woman had a kind face and a sweet smile. This is something I was waiting for, and no way was I about to say, "No thanks, I already ate." It felt obvious that this was a safe invitation, and instinct took over. We threw in our gear and ourselves, and we headed back where we had already walked. Mrs. Lucy Parlange drove about 2 or 3 miles and then turned onto another road, a road that turned out to be her driveway, a driveway that led to the Parlange Plantation, the oldest working plantation in America. Parlange was a plantation before the USA was the USA. Miss Lucy, sweet, bubbly, enthusiastic, and energetic, had only enough time to ask me what Dixie and I were doing, listen to our quick answers, and set me up in the gallery to be waited on by her housemaid to fix me breakfast. Then Miss Lucy got back into her car to continue to her beauty shop appointment she was now late for since turning around and picking us up. While eating my full Southern breakfast, my second breakfast of the day, that is, of eggs, toast, grits, hash browns, juice, and milk, I was joined in the gallery by Shannon and Renee, both 12, and Melissa and Charity, both 8. They are a small sampling of the Parlange Playmates. Miss Lucy, I was told, enjoys playing with the children of neighbors and friends. All told, there are about 30 playmates, but they come in small groups. Also joining was Mrs. Ann Lubdell Blackman, a visiting friend and a retired photojournalist. Miss Ann had met Peter and Barbara Jenkins when they walked across America 10 years earlier and had interviewed them. The afternoon's plan for the Playmates, Miss Lucy style, was a ride to the Louisiana State Penitentiary for its arts and crafts show. I tied Dixie up on the downstairs porch, and her exciting day was going to be one of rest. Then the 7 of us crammed into Miss Lucy's car and headed towards the Mississippi River, onto the ferry and into the quaint town of St. Francisville, a town of shops, fancy cafes, and neat stores for window shopping and a pizza lunch. The Arts and Crafts Fair was selling of the inmates' art of all artistic varieties for their own personal accounts. Miss Lucy bought about 8 things from 8 different inmates. And after all that spending, Miss Lucy complained through her laughter that she spent so much money that she'd be eating beans for a week. She spent money like it was going out of style and enjoyed every minute of it. Every minute of her life, that is, and that included her way of helping convicts and sharing with children. After the fair, it was back to the river via a different ferry and stopping to see the 1848 St. Stephen's Church, then on to St. Mary's Church in Morganza for an ongoing service where this Jew boy drank the holy wine and ate the bread of Christ. Then to a rickety, dark, open-air bar stilted over the river where country music bellowed from the jukebox, beer-drinking local yokels played pool, and the 6 of us slurped down Cokes, Dr. Peppers, and root beer. Within minutes, Miss Lucy asked me to dance. The kids watched their fun old adopted grandma dancing with a young guy, causing joyous laughter. Then I took a spin with Miss Ann, inspiring more giggles from the girls. This was a world the kids' parents could never show them because most of the fun was coming straight from Miss Lucy's head, making it up one adventure at a time. Miss Lucy seemed to have nothing else to do in life but enjoy it, and it was the kindness of her heart to help others experience some pleasure as well. Her wealth was beyond the bank book, and boy, was she generous. Miss Lucy was as comfortable with barflies and convicts, or in any setting she found herself in, and she was accepted in return. As far as I can tell, she belonged in that shack of a bar as much as she belonged in Buckingham Palace with the Queen and her mother. She was definitely upper class. She was pure class. Her other world was the party we had to get back for. If it wasn't for the time and my lack of clothing, beyond shorts and sweats, I would have escorted Miss Anne, along with Mr. Walter and Lucy Parlange, to an anniversary party they were attending that night. The guest list included American aristocrats, state politicians, and the likes of Malcolm Forbes. Here was the difference between being a second generation American, me, born of parents born in New York City with parents from Eastern Europe, compared to having a 200-year plus family heritage in the USA. With all that I saw, I couldn't help but believe that Miss Lucy was one of those eccentric rich ladies who was a bit different from lack of an average person's life. But if she is an example of eccentricity, I'd love to join the line to get me some of that. Miss Lucy is one of the happiest, sweetest, most generous, appreciative people I ever met. She knows what she has, realizes her privilege, and shares what she can with anyone she meets along the way. Her love of life and people, rich or poor, is blatant. Is meeting her luck or a blessing? Both. Side note: spending the day with Miss Lucy, Miss Anne, and the kids was a shot of oxygen and adrenaline exactly when I needed it. I had just learned that Mike, Karen, and Drake's walk ended, which was on the heels of my voluntarily created and perpetuated toughest and most insecure, uncertain 4 weeks of my life. I have pondered if one needs to put themselves in an extreme situation to meet such people as Miss Lucy. Obviously, not always. But in my case, I only met Lucy Parlange because I was walking on the left hand side of the road with a beautiful German shepherd carrying her own pack on a journey designed to create adventure in my life. I hadn't met people like her growing up in New York City or even traveling in the camper van. In my experience, these people were only on TV and in the movies. But because I was walking across America and I was in the right place at the right time, I did meet such a person. Luck? Blessing? Yep. I discovered that Miss Lucy passed away on October 6, 2018. The following are snippets from her obituary. Lucy Brandon Parlange, one of Point Coupé Parish's great personalities, was born in Nashville, Tennessee on January 3, 1928. She spent her early years on the family's plantation, Arcole, in Pinckneyville, Mississippi. Her mother, a teacher, homeschooled her sister and her until she was 9 years old when they moved to New Orleans. She studied art at Sophie B. Newcomb College and Louisiana State University and became a cartographic draftsman for the Corps of Engineers. When she married Walter Parlange, they moved to Parlange Plantation. She joined her mother-in-law in receiving tourists and friends at Parlange and was known for her hospitality, often inviting the tourists she especially liked to stay for lunch, supper, and often to spend the night. So much so that her husband titled the house Constant Company. Come back soon and come back often was one of her signature farewells. Affectionately called Miss Lucy, she was a consummate entertainer and hosted everyone from the Duchess of Devonshire to Martha Stewart to her all-time favorite guests, the Parlange Playmates. Once her children were grown, she organized an after-school group of local children called the Parlange Playmates and took them on field trips, put on plays for nursing homes, read to them, and let them play with the old-fashioned toys at Parlange. She thought nothing of climbing up the oak tree and pushing children on the rope swing, and many times she piled as many as 14 children, including her own, in her Mustang on several of her rambles around the river long before seatbelts were required. But even then, the word was, if they're with Miss Lucy, you know they're in good hands. Cheers to you, Miss Lucy, and thank you for having Dixie and me become part of your adventure. Until next time, peace.